Peabody, Massachusetts, was once part of Salem, Massachusetts. In 1938 through 1939, with Federal Treasury Department funds, the post office was constructed. In 1987, the Northeast Arc bought the building. This building is where the catalyst takes place.
I didn't grow up in old buildings. I grew up in new buildings. Where I'm from, there is no such thing as a historical society or an old building. So it was week one when I discovered a little bit more about this building. I was here on a Saturday night. There was a live band in the theater, and I had worked here for 5 days. And they got done pretty late. And, I was still kind of feeling my way around, learning all the upside down light switches in the building and everything. And, we have our protocol for shutting the building down. So you guys have seen my office, you know where it is. I went down to grab my handbag and my keys, and I heard a very faint laughing, a woman's voice, a laughing. It wasn't unpleasant. It wasn't menacing or anything like that. It was actually very pleasant.
Eventually said someone might drown, someone...
You do hear that, right?
Yeah.
So I called out, hello, is anyone there? Hello, hello, we're closed. And I had already locked up the front door. And nothing, no response. I started to head back up the stairs, and I heard it again. This time it was louder. I got those chills, I got those willies, and if you could have seen me run out of here, you guys probably would have laughed your heads off. I didn't turn off a single light switch. I had my bag in one hand, keys in another, and I ran out this back door to my car. So at the time, we had a different gal as our caning manager in part of the building as one of the building's services. She is not. And when I came in on Monday morning, she had asked me, how did your event go? What went on, and how was the band and everything? And I said, the band was great, the guests were great. I said, she goes, you look a little funny. I was like, well, I have questions. And she said, what are your questions? I said, well, have you guys ever heard? And she interrupted me and she said, the laughing. I said, so you've heard it too? She goes, oh yeah, all the time. The laughing was something that it was not my imagination. It was not just me. It was not my mind playing tricks on me. It was real. And everyone else in the building had heard it before.
The whole area is a hot spot.
Yeah. I keep hearing I want to go home. Like she literally went like this, and it's a girl.
So I found out about what you were doing here from Lisa, and I was so excited to hear that somebody was actually investigating the building. I've experienced things personally in this building the entire time I was here, and I never really shared my thoughts or feelings on it except with my coworker and my supervisor who also experienced things, and we kind of just made friends with the energy or whatever was here.
I asked I'm very clear that they want to go home. I keep hearing they want to go home, they want to go home, I want to go home, and I want to go home a couple times, like whining, and I asked, I said, can you let us help you? Can you let us help you? And they were like, can you? And I was like, yes. They were like, will you come back? And I said, yes.
So I'm very interested in the paranormal in general, not to nerd out, but I was the president of the paranormal club at my high school. I have lived my entire life being clairvoyant and having the veil of the spiritual world and the world we live in regularly basically lifted.
And I had gone into the bathroom stall, And just before I was gonna sit down, I heard like a tiny little playful giggle. I froze. It was very alarming because we didn't really have children in the building. We did at one point have children in the building, but their class wasn't here at that point. And I mean, this sounded so clear. The giggle took place in the stall next to me, and it happened and then it was gone. And I couldn't explain it. I did get out of the stall and kind of look into the other stall to see if I could just kind of automatically your brain wants to make sense of what's going on, and I couldn't, and I had gone right back upstairs and I never told anybody. I never mentioned it again.
Until today, is that the first time?
Once I told people what I was coming to do here, I started telling, they were like, well, what have you experienced?
Very helpful, because it's very creepy in here. There's the light.
The back right corner of this room.
Again, they're like crunching down, like shaking.
It's not that I didn't believe everyone else's stories. I was just almost kind of like waiting for something to come around and really show itself to me, like, you know, audibly.
When I come down the hallway, I shut all the doors because I work in fire prevention, so you have to close your doors. Doors prevent fires, that's just my little PSA. And then I'll go and do my thing. I'll come in here, there's a gig, whatever's going on, I'll do my thing. I'll come back out and there's always 2 doors open. It's the same 2 doors every single time. I know I shut the doors.
Okay, so that wasn't open before, but we came down here, it's open now. Remember?
Yeah.
So I go back, I shut the doors, I wander around, I do my thing again, I come back out, and the same 2 doors are open. Every single time.
I don't think that door was cracked either. Remember that door wasn't cracked? So
No,
this
it wasn't.
opened and that cracked. That's fascinating.
Invitation?
The boiler room doors are doors that when you shut them, they engage. There's not like, just shut the door, let it, and they're always open. We shut them, they're always open. There's equipment down there that, if someone were to wander downstairs, they could wander into this room, they could get injured. So it is policy in the building to keep those doors shut. They're always open, they're always moving.
Okay, I'm hearing you're fine, child. You can enter. So I'm gonna enter.
In this experience, I heard like a really loud sigh, like an exhale, like a and it was so close to me that the hairs on the back of my spine literally went up. And then as soon as I had registered what had happened from that moment, I heard footsteps off in the distance and I was like, that felt a little bit more ominous than anything I had felt in this building before. And it was just so by coincidence that, all the familiar faces I'm used to seeing in this building happened to not be here, and it happened to be nighttime, and I happened to be by myself.
You do hear that, right?
Yeah, this is a huge hotspot right here. It's fucking huge. My hair on my head is standing up right now. Peace and love, let me tell you.
I swear I've seen lights on in rooms that shouldn't have lights on. I've come back down, lights have been off. I don't go down there by myself because it's creepy.
When you're in this building for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, which I am, you get a sense of what is around you. You have, your surroundings are kind of in check. You know what doors are left open and lights are left on and things like that. And when they're no longer on or shut or open, the questions, we don't even ask each other anymore.
In the boiler room, I definitely want to get like, it was cracked open before it was shut, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then the room next to it, across from the room on this side that has like the extra creepy feelings.
The chairs
Someone
inside?
died in there. There's like a dead man, like heavy, heavy.
Wow.
We can go in there. We were given permission.
I also, because I was the new guy, I would often be here, left to lock up at the end of the day. And I'd have to turn all the lights off, make sure nobody else is in the building, and it gives me the creeps when I start talking about it. I would walk all the way up to the front where the alarm box would be, and I would always just kind of glance down the hallway, and it would be dark. You would only see the exit signs kind of lighting things up. And I've seen kind of a shadow poke out from a wall and kind of move back. Like as soon as I made eye contact, it was almost playful. Like, oh, are you leaving? And then back. And I've seen that maybe about 3 times. And it was always towards the back stairwell.
It's been 3.5 years. I see the shadows, I hear the whispers, I hear the voices. The laughing is generally later in the evening, but in the daytime, I mean, this building it's an old, creepy building. So, day or night, I don't really think it matters.
One day, I think it was maybe 2015, I remember it, and it gives me chills every time I think about it. One of my clients, who was a very tall guy, and he was older, had gray hair, wasn't in, and I was holding a chair, and I could have sworn I saw him walk from the chair that he sits in over to the sink in the caning room, and it was not him. I mean, I saw, clear as day, I saw an older gentleman walk from one side to the other, just very casually. I almost dropped the chair. And my boss was right next to me, and I said, she looked at me and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I thought I just saw, so-and-so walk from his chair over." And she, just very casually mentioned, "Oh yeah, that's the tall guy." And I was like, "Well, who is that?" It was a very just matter of fact, just, "Oh yeah."
So I'm getting someone that's tall. He's tall. He's probably like this tall. He's taller than you, like maybe a half a foot, maybe a foot. How tall are you?
6 feet.
You're 6 feet? Okay, so he might be 6.5 feet. They're like getting excited now. He's like moving around. He's like, yeah. Oh. So there was someone that watched his wife die. I can see overalls. Okay, so we're going back to like before the post office right now. And he's like heartbroken when he saw his wife die. Wow, that's really, really sad, my friend. She's gone, he's here, and he doesn't know how to get to her.
I see the playful, and I see kind of like accepting spirits, but the dark energy that I would feel here, I never really saw it. It always just kind of like hovered over. Like it would kind of crawl out of nowhere and then just kind of latch on.
Latch on.
Like it would almost feel, when I would feel these periods of desperation and not wanting to be here, it almost felt like I had a weight on my back. Like if you were carrying around you know, somebody like piggyback style. Like it almost felt like my shoulders were heavy and I would start to like, really, I don't want to be here. I don't want to, like it would almost kind of slowly push me further and further down. And it was like just draining energy-wise. Like I would immediately lose all energy and, you know, I'd start getting stuck in anxious thoughts.
You really are just like, he just wants to be behind me. It's like, that's not cool. If you want my help, you've got to respect my boundaries. If not, we're just going to call it quits, my friend. Okay. He's pretty tall. He's tall, like a little taller than you. And he's like kind of big. No, you cannot come in to me. You can't travel with me. I think he left. I heard gone.
Got a little bit airier in here. I have like a crushing weight on my skull that's just kind of lifted a moment ago.
Good. Awesome. I like saw him kind of walk, like I opened the door.
My hope for your work would be that some of the energy in this building becomes more balanced. I mean, I don't hope that these entities feel like they are, like they need to be, you know, fearful of us, that they have to get up and get out. But I feel like, I hope they're able to move on in a sense. And, you know, maybe if something wants to stay here, then that's fine. But my hope is that some of the energy in this building is just not so cloudy.
Feel it. It's.
We're switching to phone view.
I'm gonna grab the GoPro. I think it's stopped. There's like skeletons in this room. This room is something.
Any more history on this place?
Yes, we do. This is dead.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Surprising.
Put it in one of Jess's pockets.
I got pockets.
My boobs are cold. I just felt like saying that.
Yeah, it happens.
All right.
Yeah, there's some.
There's a lot of people buried in here.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Okay, yeah, because hell fucking no. There's death. Yeah, we gotta get the history of this place. It's not allowed to touch us at all. Yet you can feel it.
I'm not worried about it interacting with us. I'm worried about interacting with the people who work here.
Exactly. Whatever, like anything that's attached to these skeletons, because it's like I'm just seeing skeletons. We both said it like the same time.
I don't think it's in this room. I think it's under this room.
It's under.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Absolutely
I
under.
think I can feel it coming from down there.
Yep. I can see it. I can see the dirt. I can see the skeletons. I want excavation. We can do it. How cool would that be if we were able to do that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's like, oh man, who, like a whole people, like a tribe, like, oh shit. A tribe. That just gave me the chills.
I would say that cloud is quite heavy. That cloud is noticeable. That cloud wants to be noticed. And that cloud is almost all encompassing of this building and the people that spend time in it. So I would hope for that cloud to kind of dissipate or precipitate or whatever it has to do and to be released.
It's extremely heavy.
There's definitely sorrow. I saw a tank. That's interesting. If it was a long time ago, it wouldn't be a tank. Maybe it wasn't that long. Was there ever any tanks over here? I don't think there's any tanks here. Well, yeah, look at that.
My hope for your work here is that you could maybe help whatever it is that's here kind of move on and let them kind of be at peace, kind of like what I got to do, but the building can't do. I got to leave.